Okay, now it's live.
I'm not moving.
Is there a delay? Always. By the time it goes out of here to here,
No.
there's always a delay. Okay.
Yeah. Everything's being heard. I could hear it through here. So everything that we were.
Okay, so audio is good. Yes. You heard the audio from this feed?
Yeah, it's all work.
All right, ready to go.
Awesome. So welcome to this week's Fearless Man Live. I guess I don't know if it's really called the Fearless Man Live. That's our live event, but this week's Q&A, and it's going to be our last Q&A from Romania. I'm leaving next week on Wednesday, so my last week here, and then we'll be back to kind of a normal schedule and updating a little bit more regularly on Thursdays at 6 p.m. California time. So let's dive into this week's questions. We're getting a lot of deeper questions because we've been doing some deeper Q&As the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I think we're going to continue with this. Plus, we're going to do some of the other stuff too. So we're going to mix some stuff up as the months go on. This week's Q&A, I might have more questions than I can answer, so we can move some to a later Q&A if we can't get them all done. But I'm going to start with Thomas Richard Camel. I hope I said your name right. Your last name, that is. Hi, Brian. I've been following you for a couple of months now, and your insights have been very useful to me. For some reason, one of the best things I have acquired through your videos is that I have become much more relaxed in all my social interactions. That's awesome. That's very important, one of the most important things. I would love to hear you elaborate on how to become more relaxed and outcome independent and why it's necessary for success. I love this question. It's probably one of my favorite questions this week. It was a topic at Zan's event. Zan had a host of the Amirati, his core team members, in Amsterdam last weekend, and I spoke at it. I was the closing speaker. I closed everything out, so I guess technically that's the keynote. I don't know. And it was awesome because that was a lot of the subject we were talking about. We were talking about depth of relaxation through the nervous system and your ability to communicate your emotions, your feelings, your turn on, your desire, your passion, or your curiosity or your appreciation, and how any tightness in the body or tightness in the body in general, the tighter you are, the more you're tight through the core of your body, the harder it is to communicate what you're feeling. You see, when people are really communicating well, when they're really connecting well and bonding, they're sharing a lot of emotion, but they're also very relaxed. That's what allows the emotion to transmit from one person to another person, and that is one of the biggest keys. So I want to invite you into this idea that learning to relax is really essential if you hadn't already thought about this. If your body, when we're looking at students, when we take them out, we look at how, kind of like in yoga, we're looking at, are they relaxed down to here? Like if I'm locked into my head, I'm talking from up here. I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name's Brian. And you'll feel the whole body feels rigid from the neck down. If I'm more relaxed into my chest and there's more heart, I'll feel more loose here, but you won't feel much down here. And it's important that you're able to feel the whole body all the way down through the legs. And as you relax down even more, start to relax the pelvis. It's really important you guys are able to move your pelvis freely. As you start to relax the pelvis, you start to relax down the groin, you start to relax down the legs, and even the feet. You start to feel more grounded, more solid. And then what happens with grounding, as you become more grounded as a man, your ability to handle tension and stay relaxed under tension, then you're better able to transmit your emotions, the emotions I was just talking about. You see, turn on comes from low in your body, which makes a lot of sense. That's where you feel the turn on radiating from. So if you're locked up here, she's not going to be able to feel your turn on. If you're running anxiety, you're going to cover the whole thing up. So you either have to punch through the anxiety with your emotion, or you have to be able to relax down into it. And ultimately, you do want to relax. If you could feel the here, she can feel your heart, which is going to have more compassion, more warmth, more vulnerability. But the turn on, again, comes lower in the body. And then the grounding comes down through the legs, a sense of solidness, being rooted. So if you think of the body like a tree, the tree has a tree trunk, but then under the ground, it has roots, a tap root and then other roots. And then it has, up top, it has all the branches and the leaves. So up here is where the branches and leaves are. When you're walking down the street, what do you notice? You notice the greenery of the trees, the branches, the leaves flowing in the wind, that type of stuff. So think of that as expression. So that's my upper part of my body expressing. I'm talking with my hands, I'm expressing with my body, my heart's open, I'm feeling good, I'm relaxed, I'm feeling appreciative, I'm feeling alive. Then start to think of the next part of the body as kind of down below that. And when you get into the turn on, and then you get down into the legs, that's where your grounding is. So that's getting down to the tree trunk and the roots. And so the more you can feel down, the more you're going to feel that part of the tree, in a sense, or the body that feels solid. See, the tree trunk is what gives the branches the ability to express. It gives it this a sense of security, groundedness, stableness. Well, it's the same thing in the human body. The more you're in touch with your legs, relax down into your legs, the more you flow. This isn't just true with communication. This is true in sex, but this is also true in sports. An MMA fighter that can feel down through his body and feel his pelvis and move and his legs is going to be much better than one that can't. I did have an MMA fighter in one of my classes once, and he was really rigid like a robot. So he was having trouble with a lot of his fights because we were taking a look at why he was so rigid in his body. And he had a lot of stories from his youth about literally as a child wanting to be RoboCop. And he would tell me these stories, how he really liked RoboCop. He'd walk around trying to be RoboCop, moving like RoboCop. And then that he developed a lot of rigidity in his body because he really wanted to ultimately, by doing that, disconnect from his body and create a lot of armor, probably because he didn't feel emotionally safe. And so that kills his fluidity in the movement and the fight and the ground fighting and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't matter what sport you're in, feeling the body is really important. Now, I was in a workshop a few weeks ago. I was taking one from DKU. And if anybody of you know who DKU is, he is a phenomenal martial artist. People have been calling him the reincarnation of Bruce Lee. And he's a Korean guy. And he studied like, I don't know, 15 or 18 different martial arts. But he really bases his martial arts, the base of his martial arts, he moves and relaxes and flows like in Sistema, which is a Russian special forces martial art. And then he puts all the other martial arts on top of it. And in his workshop, the whole first day was not about fighting. The whole first day was a 2-day workshop, was all about grounding and feeling your body, getting into the lower part of your body, working the pelvis, building up the energy, feeling the legs, meditating. Because that's the basis. The way he would put it is, if you can't relax into your body and be completely loose and limber, then you can't have he has insane speed. You can't develop insane speed. You can't feel the other fighter in front of you. So everything builds off of that. So there's no point in teaching people how to fight unless they've got that down. So that's how important it is. Now, this is I'm taking a little longer to answer this question because I personally believe this is that important. I think for developing this with people, the only way to develop it is to not be afraid of being tight and anxious. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but if you go out saying, beating yourself up for being rigid, then you're not going to be able to ever get relaxed. And this is true of everything. You can't be afraid of the thing happening that you don't want to happen if you're going to get past it. If you want to get free and be able to move freely and relax in your body, then you can't be afraid of being rigid. Otherwise, the fear of being rigid will create more rigidity. So What I tell people to do when they're learning to relax is, if they can't get into a workshop's the best thing, because we're going to go through the subtlest detail, not just with models in the room teaching you to relax, but we're going to take you personally through exercises in the field. And I still go out with the students. Someday I won't. So someday I may not. We may just have coaches going out in the field. But as of right now, I'm still going out with you guys. So, but what I recommend is going out, and the number one thing I recommend is consistency over time. Now, there's a thing I call weeding the garden. I don't believe in approaching. Don't take the mentality, I'm going to go out to approach to meet girls and pick up on girls. It's fun to do, nothing wrong with it. But when you're learning to relax, go out with the mentality that I'm going out to weed the garden. I'm going out to stir up all the garbage that's inside me that makes me want to tighten up and pull away from people. So with each approach, I'm going to play right at my level and a little beyond. I'm going to see what comes up, and then I'm going to work on relaxing and letting it go. Relaxing and letting whatever comes up go. And I recommend doing a minimum of 3 a day, preferably 5 a day. And they don't have to be long. Like I'm talking about, if you're doing 5 a day, they can be quick. Like especially in the beginning when you're really rigid at just saying hi, or just even asking. If you're really rigid at asking the time or directions, then yeah, definitely do just quick 5 interactions, asking the time or directions till you can relax into that. And then when you get comfortable with that, step it up a notch. Ask a second question. When you get comfortable with that, keep stepping it up until you can walk up to somebody and say, hi, I just wanted to really say hi and meet you. And be really honest and direct about that. There's nothing wrong with it. You're interesting. Something about you. I have to say hi to you. Or I like you. Or man, you have a great way of moving yourself. Like I love the way you carry yourself. You have such a grace about you. Or man, your fashion sense is amazing. Whatever you actually feel, just walk up and start talking to people. But in the beginning, you might just want to say hi. Hey, how you doing? That might even be simple. Hey, just saying hi to people today. Getting out of my comfort zone. You can actually say that to people, by the way, when you're developing this. You say, I'm just building my confidence. How are you? My name's Brian. Yeah, I get out of my comfort zone. I tend to be a little more introverted. So, and people will talk to you. They'll love it. This may not get you dates, at least in the beginning, but in time, it'll get you more relaxed, and that's what's important. So do 3 to 5 of those a day, and do it for a minimum. Well, you can do it for 30 days, but I would say 90 days is the minimum. And the reason that is if you try to do it all in one weekend, you may get a state pump going in the weekend, which is this ability to feel really confident that weekend, like pumped up, like I'm going to do it, but you're not really learning to relax. You're actually building up this sense of state pumped energy. And what you ultimately want to do is learn to relax under pressure, relax under the tension. It's great to be able to relax in general, but I'm talking about relaxing under the tension of actually having these social interactions and being a little more vulnerable. And that's what's important. So do that for a minimum of 90 days, and just build it up a little bit at a time. Now, there's some videos out there. I'm not sure which ones they are. I've done videos where we go through sequences of ways to progress, and that would make this video way too long if I go through that sequence. But there's ways to progress where you can add a little bit at a time, learning to relax a little lower, learning to be really cognizant of eye contact, paying attention to your voice tone. What you do is you work on one skill that needs improvement at a time and learn to relax in that area. Learning to listen a little better, and learning to make the conversation last a little longer. So at a certain point, conversations are going to get boring, so you're going to go for 3 minutes on the conversation, or 4 minutes. You're going to see if you can get them to last a little longer. And you'll set a timer. Maybe that on those days you're going to go for less conversations, but longer. And if you just keep going out every day and having 3 interactions a day, and then writing them down and writing down what you learned from each one, not what went wrong, what your gains were, how you grew, how you experienced it in a positive way, and then read those before you go to sleep, you're going to start to reprogram your subconscious mind to enjoy talking to people. And it won't take long. The biggest mistake I'm going to tell you right now is guys trying to go too fast. They do this all the time. They try to go and have these interactions, and they want to get right to hitting on the girl and taking her home. It's not that you won't meet girls that like you. That's going to happen. Even if you don't mean to, in time, it will happen. But if you run out there and you go right for that, and you could barely interact with people, let's say you're not good at being social yet, you're not good at relaxing at all, and you're going and you're beating yourself up because you're not getting your phone number yet. Well, that's a little too much too fast. So you're going to have to learn to relax that and just give yourself the time you need. Because if you really give yourself time to develop over 3 months, you'll be surprised what will happen in 3 months. Because inside of a week, you're going to get bored with whatever you're doing, a few days, and then you're going to want to amp it up a little bit, and then you get bored with that, amp that up a little bit, and you'll feel your tension rise. You'll feel it literally rise up your body, and you work on relaxing it back down. And then rise up your body, relax it back down. And then you're going to work on expressing more, like more expression. And then you're going to feel the tension in that, relax it back down while keeping the expression. So remember, the key to relaxation is the relaxation under the tension of the vulnerability. So it's great to go relax on a hammock, but you got to be able to relax while in the middle of the interaction, while being vulnerable, while pushing your boundaries, while being real, or while experiencing your turn on, whatever it is for you in that moment. So I'm going to leave that one at that. That's some basic stuff. We do have a membership site that I think goes through some interactions on this stuff too. You can check that out too if you want to look at it. And if you want to search our videos, we have some videos on this stuff too. So Kaleem Sheikh, S-H-A-I-K. I hope I said your name right also. Hi Brian, this is Kaleem Sheikh. I'm a photographer from India. I've been watching your videos for the last 2 days, and what I've gotten to know about myself is that I have the nice guy syndrome. I would definitely try to work on that. I will definitely try to work on that. I'm just kind of correcting some stuff here. I'm facing a lot of problems lately with my work life, and also I haven't been in any relationship for the last 4 years. My last relationship ended really bad. Ever since then, I stopped going out, stopped socializing, and because I'm a photographer, I started spending much time on my laptop. I have always been an introvert, but I can be very humorous, and back in college, I was kind of popular. I will be turning 30 this year, and even though I'm one of the best photographers in my city, awesome, congratulations, and my region, I couldn't find success at work and with women because I don't socialize, and I guess I kind of developed some phobia or something about relationships, and making friends has become so tough for me. Please help. What should I do? Take the advice I just used in the last question. Go out and work on pushing, like figure out where your boundary is and push it a little bit each day for 90 days and just see what happens. Talk to 3 people a day. And even if it's just starting with a simple hi or a simple, hey, do you have the time? And build it up over 90 days. Really give yourself that 90 days to relax into it. Because what's happening is you're used to, the energy goes out and energy goes in. So energy in, energy out. So if I'm expressing out, there's a sense of openness. Introverts tend to take their energy in, so they create a little bubble. And then what happens is everybody feels that bubble and they don't bother them. They kind of stay away. It's not that you're not an interesting person. It's that in a sense, we put up these walls that tell people stay back. So when you do these 3 a day, you're going to start to experience the other side, the sense of opening. And that's what you want to work on, the sense of asking your heart, your stomach to open and just relax. Feel that sense of opening. What is it like to feel everything around you? If you begin to open, you're going to start to feel more emotions. You're going to feel more connection to people around you. You're going to feel more emotions from people around you. And that's what you want to work on. Maybe even just imagine you're just opening 1% a day, just a little bit at a time every day. And so even before you start your approaches, walk down the street and ask yourself, can I open my heart even 1% and just feel a little bit more emotion? And what's literally happening there, it sounds a little new agey, but what's literally happening is you're relaxing. When you ask your body to do that, you're relaxing right here. And there's a sense of, in that sense of relaxation, because everything's tight, it begins to relax and you begin to feel more flow and emotion with people around you. Emotions felt through the body. Thinking is up here, right? So you've got to relax through here to feel everybody. And so that 1% a day is going to increase your ability to feel and relate to everybody around you. So every day, can I relax a little bit more before you start your 3? And then do your 3 approaches. 3 stops, whatever you want to say. So it might be as simple as walking people. In the beginning, it might just be hi as you walk past people, because that's all you can do. Then you stop somebody and ask them the time. Then you stop somebody and ask them directions. Then you stop somebody, ask them directions, and check on how good your eye contact is. Can I remember the color of their eyes? Then you stop people, ask them the time, and then you ask, could I feel them with my heart? Can I remember feeling that 1% in my heart? Then maybe, can I feel my legs when I stop them? And so you only focus on one thing at a time. And in time, you'll start to build a sense of relaxing down through the body, being more natural, being more fluid, being more connected with these people. And maybe it'll take 90 days, maybe it'll take 6 months, depending on where you're at and how fast you move. But you're gonna start to see growth. You're gonna see improvement no matter what. Inside of, and when I say 6 months, I'm talking about for big improvement. For a little bit of improvement, you'll see it right away. You'll see it within 30 days or last 2 weeks. You'll see some nice changes going on. And the reason I recommend you go this slow is so you keep the consistency, and so your nervous system doesn't want to push back. You want to make it fun for you, easy. You want, especially when you're really shut down, because if you make it hard and you try to push too fast, you're going to activate the pain-pleasure principle of the body. You're going to associate pain with doing this. And as soon as you associate pain, you're going to want to stop. At the end of each day, write down what you learned from the interactions. At the end of each time out, what did you learn? How did you grow? And then write that down in your journal again. Get used to writing down your gains, because we tend to look at what we did wrong more than we did what we did right. So building the habit over the 90 days of seeing how you're growing and what you did right is probably actually more important than the approaching itself. How did I grow? How did I grow? What am I seeing where I grew? Because you'll get addicted to that growth, just like we can get addicted to looking at our problems. So we want to switch from looking at what's not working to ultimately how we grew today, how we grew. Because whatever you focus on expands. And if you get really addicted to seeing all the little ways you grew, that'll expand. Don't lie to yourself. Just look for something simple. Oh, I did this. Oh, I said hi to this person without thinking suddenly today. I felt more in my heart when I spoke to this person. I walked up to a cuter girl than I've ever walked up to before. I actually could feel my legs while I was talking to her today. Little things like this. And then read them before you go to bed, so you take them into your dreams, so you process them while you're sleeping. Okay. Read No More Mr. Nice Guy if you haven't read it. And potentially even Way of the Superior Man. That would be after No More Mr. Nice Guy. And if you can get into a workshop, get into a workshop. Also check out the membership sites. A lot of great exercises there. So Brian Redbird, a shorter one. Hey Brian, I love your videos. They're packed with value. Awesome. I love that. I've gotten good at grounding my emotions, but a lot of girls I'm meeting are damaged goods. Any advice with this? Thanks. Okay. A lot of the girls I'm meeting are damaged goods. Let's take, what's most likely happening is we draw what we are. So if you're meeting people with a lot of problems, they got a lot of stuff going on in their life, you probably have some unresolved stuff in your life. It's either that one, you're matching them, or the other one is that there's a part of you that still feels you have to take care of people. So you're drawing what you're projecting out. Like you got a strong nice guy syndrome and you want to take care of people. And so you're looking for somebody to be codependent with, which is still kind of like the first one too. So either draw what you are or you draw what you're afraid of. Like I don't want to have to take care of people, so I draw people I have to take care of. I don't want women that are damaged goods, so I draw women that are damaged goods. Or, and I hate that term damaged goods. I prefer that they're working on themselves. We're all growth in progress. We all have some problems in some way, shape, or form. But if you're drawing women that are there was a period of my life where I was drawing for a long time, drawing a lot of women that were angry and would have a lot of emotion and love to fight and argue and be kind of a pain in the ass. And I realized that was a product of my childhood. That's how I grew up. I grew up with a mother that was bipolar, had a lot of emotions, and so I was drawing women like that. I had to close that door and let that go in my life, and then I've never drawn one since. So I want to invite you into that I had to look at myself, not them, myself, And when I shut that part of myself and healed that part of myself, then welcomed it, acknowledged it, and healed it, then the outside world changed. The outside world is always a reflection of what you're feeling inside. It just reflects it. You're going to sort out. It's amazing how we can sort and find just the right people that match what we're feeling. It's just like a woman who is used to being abused by men will go through a crowd of men and know how to just select out the abusers, and she'll go from one abuser to another until she heals that part of herself, and then she'll realize that it was never the men, it was her, that there were plenty of men out there that aren't abusers that would be really nurturing and healing when she let that go. That yes, those men were abusers, but she was also sorting subconsciously, so they were matching each other. As soon as she shifted her internal beliefs around that, her codependency issues, she started drawing men that were more nurturing into her life. So, okay, let's go on to the next one. Frustrated individual. Okay, so this one here, I think I'm going to hold off on now. I love the question. I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to talk to. If I don't do it this week, we'll do it next week potentially, or we'll do
in Vegas.
I want to see about doing, in Vegas, or I want to see about doing this in a different way, where I'm going to talk to somebody about setting something up, because I think it's a great idea. I want to do it right. Could you, and I'll read it to you. Could you please do a release on being a virgin? Whenever others talk about their sexual experience, I feel a strong pang of pain. I feel inferior, insecure, and I feel like I have missed out on life. I feel like a loser. I'm already in my early 30s. I've run into a lot of virgins in this business. A lot of clients come to us that are virgins. We've had a lot recently, and there's more virgins out there than you think. I've met virgins in their 50s. So it's more common than you realize. They just don't tell you. So thank you for bringing this up. I do think it would be an interesting thing to do a release on. I just got this question, so what I'd like to do is talk to my team a little bit about a way we could do this in a different way, where it'll have a little bit more impact for everybody out there. So keep an eye out for this one, and remind me if I haven't done it, and I think we're going to see about doing this next week in Vegas or soon. Okay. So I haven't forgot about you. Keith Franz. Hey, I have a question. I'm 27, never had a girlfriend in my life or friends. I have a hard time communicating with people in general, especially women. Is it true when you get older, like in your 30s, younger women want you? Like, for example, 18 to 21-year-olds. Well, they can be. It's very common for younger women to want to date older men. Shoot, there's 18 to 25-year-olds even today that are trying to date men in their 40s and even 50 sometimes. It's interesting. It's kind of a thing with women that they want to explore a little bit of everything. And some women really like older men for various reasons in their life. And the thing with you as a man is women tend to be drawn to the age you feel. If you feel young and full of life, doesn't matter what age you are, you're going to draw more women that are younger. If you feel more older, you're going to draw women that are older. You're not going to draw the younger crowd usually. Like, I've seen 30-year-olds that feel like they're old men, and they just, women are kind of I've seen 50-year-olds that feel young and vibrant, full of life, and women are just like, wow, this guy's cool. I want to hang out with him. So really look at what you're putting out. Your age is not a problem. You can resolve everything if you just follow the advice in these videos, especially some of the advice I gave earlier with the desensitization in a short period of time. Now, I'm going to give you another example, and this one's also for frustrated virgin. I had a client, I still do. He's an older client now. He's doing some other stuff. He was 26-year-old virgin when he came in the door. He got over his issues with being with dating, and he started dating because he wasn't dating at that time. Got past virginity. Of course, he had sex for the first time, and then he started to have more sex, and then he got himself a girlfriend. And then they became swingers together. And the guy ended up having more sex probably than most individuals were having 4 lifetimes. He was in orgies and wild parties. And I'm not saying you have to go out and do that, but I just want to say that he's now in his early 30s, and and uh, and he's single again, and he's dating like crazy. He still has plenty of sex in his life, and he changed everything. And so I want to say that anybody at any age can make that change, and can move in the direction they want. The question is, are you willing to give up an energy that's not serving you to have the energy that's serving you in this area? So the energy that's not serving you being what? Maybe it's time to put some practice in. Maybe it's some morning meditations and releasing and some journaling, all the practices you have to put in place to shift your mindset. Are you willing to go out and get a little more vulnerable with people? Are you willing to get out to, if you need to, get out some workshops, whether it's mine or somebody else's? This is really important, because that's what he did. He came out to the workshops. We put him through a lot of training, and it took a lot to shift his mindset because he was so pushing women away. And that's what I did. I went out and found mentors and coaches, and I didn't just sit at home and try to do this alone. You got to get in the energy of people that are successful, whether it's with us or somewhere else. It's really important, because if you try to do it hibernating in your cave, you're not likely to have success unless you're right on the cusp already. Okay, so get out and get yourself involved somewhere, and start meeting people, and get yourself around like-minded people, particularly men that are good in this area, that know how to meet women, and just start feeling what they're like. Go out and do the daily practices, the approaching, just like going to the gym. You have to give up time at the gym and develop knowledge and eat a certain way, and give up the bad food to build the body that you want. Well, it's the same thing here. You have to give up certain things to have something of a higher nature. So I highly recommend you get out and start doing that today. Okay, it's 11:14. Okay, so here's the last question for the day. Anthony Oki, 5 days ago. Okay, that's the best way I'm going to say what you wrote, what you got for a screen name here. Hi, Brian. Your videos are really insightful, as I am in a similar predicament as number 4, logical, which was a question. That's another comment I answered last week. I also follow a bit of other YouTubers who teach about suffering, dissociative, dysfunctional depression, hard to express emotional issues. I only think and not speak much because I'm deeply introverted. So it seems to be the theme of the day. I don't feel stuff and know how, because I know the writing here is a little off. I don't feel stuff or know how because of my childhood traumas. I get looks from women, and I'm not sure if it's an invitation to talk to them or just looking at admiring me. I'm 30 now. Well, women are looking at guys all the time. That's how they invite guys over all the time, or they get curious. There's different ways they look. We have a subcommunication video series, if you haven't checked that out, to seriously consider that. But you'll notice that women will glance at you through the side. They'll look like this, or they might look directly at you, look down, look back, or they might look up. These all kind of mean different things on average. I'm not going to say 100% of the time. Usually when they look directly at you, smile a little bit, look down, look up, they're kind of inviting you over. If they're just looking at the glance out of the corner of their eye over and over, they're curious. It's not an invite, it's not an invite. Still can go over. If they look up really quick like this, when you look at them, usually that means that they're not interested. There's other subcommunication too that goes on, so you can check that out. So what I would recommend with this is that you take you need to go do what everybody else did. You need to go out and start getting over your issues by stopping and talking to so many people a day. If you're really scared to walk up to these women and they're looking at you, walk up and just ask a quick question and leave. Start with that and journal what you learned from it. Keep doing that. Don't be afraid to do that, because a lot of times they are inviting you over, and there's nothing wrong with going over and saying hi to somebody that's looking at you. It's a beautiful thing to do. Offer a compliment just to get started. Do something to open that door. You may not be a good conversationalist if you haven't practiced it all, so you might find that to be the real challenge. A lot of times women will invite you over, but then you walk over and you don't know what to say, you freeze up, you tighten up. Remember the first question I answered today, where you're not feeling in your body and you're rigid? Well, that's going to cause her to lose interest because she can't feel you, and women are always looking to relate to somebody they can feel. So that would be the next thing, is after you start opening, learning to relax back down the body. It comes back to the theme of the day. So the number one thing you got to do from reading this is start learning to look at where you're going more than what's wrong. Based on what you wrote here, I also follow a bit of other YouTubers who teach about suffering, that dissociative, dysfunctional, depressive, hard to express emotion. So I get the feeling you're focused on what's wrong a lot. And there's nothing wrong with being honest with yourself about where you're at and moving towards where you want to go. But you got to constantly be noticing where you're going, how you're growing, writing down. You get a gains journal, write down all your gains every day. Write down, okay, I realized this about women today. I realized this about myself, the good stuff. Not lying to yourself, not saying I'm happy when I'm not, but saying, you know what, I feel a little happier than I did yesterday. That's great. You know what, that girl looked at me and I went over and said hi to her and she smiled. The conversation maybe didn't go anywhere, but she smiled and I realized that she was very much open to talking more. I spoke to this girl and had a short conversation today, a little bit longer than I'm used to, and it felt really good. She was very friendly. I felt a little bit of turn on while talking to this girl today, and I get the feeling she felt it too and enjoyed it. You know, building up, starting to write this stuff in your journal a little bit every day. I felt a sense of curiosity looking at this girl, and I could tell that she felt it too, because she kept looking at me and smiling. Little things like this in your journal, and then read them again before you go to sleep. This is the theme of the day of this call, so that you can start to get that into your nervous system. If you're constantly trying to analytically break down what's wrong, that's a trap. You're going to be stuck in that forever. You need to start moving out of that. Most of you can list all your problems better than anybody, what you've decided are your problems. At a certain point, you have to start moving out of those problems towards where you're going, okay? Because you will, if you keep analyze your way into more problems. So what you focus on expands. So if you're constantly looking at this is wrong and that's wrong, you'll start to expand that reality and you'll lock yourself in a box. Now, what I'm talking about is different than positive thinking, because I'm not talking about sitting there and saying, I'm happy, I'm good with women, women love me all day long, when that's not the truth of your reality. What I'm saying is notice something that is true that's a slight improvement and keep journaling it every day. And then what'll happen is that will, just like compounding interest, compound, and pretty soon you'll be able to say, I'm good with women, and mean it. And when you're congruent with what you're saying, that's when it has power. Not when you're lying to yourself. When you're lying to yourself, you'll actually try to push down what you're currently feeling and put whipped cream on shit, this idea of I feel good about myself on top of how you feel under the surface, and then eventually the shit always smells through. So you have to move. It's like moving a cruise ship. You have to move it a little bit at a time when you're turning, but consistently move it. Do not keep starting to turn it and then go back and look for problems again. Turn it and then go back. Oh, got to go analyze this problem again, because you're going to keep steering the ship back in the direction you don't want to go. Okay. So I'm going to leave this at that. It was went through those kind of fast. That was nice. It was a good call today. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Before we go,
Dave's talking real quick. I'm sure you guys can hear it. Go ahead.
I want you to say something about, because these guys are reading a bunch of crazy stuff online with men go on their own way group and all these like radical groups.
MGTOW.
Yeah, and they're just buying into it way too much, and
red pill
and red pill, all that garbage, and they're buying into it too easily and taking it to heart, as opposed to looking at stuff that's healthy.
Okay, women are not your enemy. Okay, this is what you got to realize. Yes, there is a group of women, just as there is a group of men that think that women and men should be fighting all the time. There's women out there that are hardcore men bashing, on the extreme end of women, men are bad. We need to fight against men for our rights, all that kind of stuff. I'm not even going to say feminists, because I've met feminists that are very sweet people, and I've met feminists that are crazy. So I'm not even going to acknowledge that or go down that direction. What I'm going to say is that if you look for that energy, that's all you're going to see in women. And then you're going to draw those women into your life, and that's going to be your experience of the feminine. You know how many women love men out there that want to be healing and nurturing and just want to be in love and want to be good to a man? There's so many, it's ridiculous. A lot more than there are the ones that are men hating. Matter of fact, the ones that are men hating are a small sliver. Okay? Just like there's a small sliver of men that are really angry at women. If you buy into their message, you're going to draw the women, by law of polarity, you're going to draw the match to that energy, and that's all you're going to see in the world. Okay? It's not that there isn't a battle of the sexes, but you don't have to buy into it. If you stop buying into it, watch the beautiful women that show up in your life. But you do have to resolve all your stories around all this MGTOW stuff and things like that. If you read that stuff, they're going to make some really solid sounding points, and then you're going to go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're going to jump into it. And if both groups exist out there, women that have nothing to do with this and don't even know it exists and just want good men in their lives that are sweet, loving, and nurturing, and women who are angry, which group do you really want to associate with? And so if you're looking for the women that are angry, that's the group you're going to associate with. And it's a very small group, to be honest. And same with men. I've surrounded myself with men that love women. And because of that, we're around women that love men. We don't hang out with people like that. They aren't in our reality. I see it on the videos. I see people talk about it. It's interesting to me. And if I watch that stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's an interesting point that person just made. Yeah, that's true too. But it's not a big deal, because I don't have that experience when I walk out on the street. And if I do, I'm like, okay, I'm going to let that go. Yeah, on the rare occasion happens, and just move on. And then I meet somebody else that's totally sweet. Men and women are meant to dance together in a beautiful way, have fun together. And yes, women will test you. That's different than women hating you. They're testing you because they want to get turned on, because they want to see your strength. They want to see your masculinity, just like we men actually kind of test women too. And it's all part of the dance. And there's a beauty in all of this. But if you're looking for the women that hate men, you will find them. If you're looking for the men that hate women, you will find them. With a quick YouTube search, you can find tons of it and think it's the whole world, and just read it and watch it all day long. And what will happen is yeah, you're going to want to swear off women at a certain point. And with that said, I grew up around a lot of women that were angry at men. And if I had gone down that direction, that would be my whole life right now. Instead, I decided to heal that part of my life and go out and find women that love men. And you know what? I found a lot of them. A lot more of them than are women that hate men. Tons of them. And I decided to associate myself with men that love women. I was at a conference the other day. Zan Perion's conference was the Ars Amirati conference. And then what happened was it was just a room full of men that really love women. And there was a beautiful woman, a couple women in there actually hanging out too. And they were so happy to be there. They were so loving being around the men. They were so generous to the men. And one of them was almost crying because it was her first exposure to this. And she's like, I really needed this in my life. And she just was so happy to be there around the men that were like this, because it made her so happy. And she wanted to hug us all and tell us how beautiful we were. And she did. And she did. She wouldn't let go, and she was holding on. It was fun. And she was a sweetheart. And so that's what you want to associate with. Okay, it's your choice, but we're not going to buy into that reality here. Okay, anything else there?
No, I mean, that was kind of a little bit of a drag on this thread, was these guys talking about these groups. And
are they still going as I'm talking?
No. They're very excited that we just addressed this and brought it up in the conversation, because it's, you know, it's unfortunate. It's really damaging to a lot of guys, especially guys that are already in an apathetic or depressed state around themselves, and and women in general.
If you're in an apathetic, depressed state and you're reading this stuff, you're going to get really miserable really fast. Your life is going to get horrible. I mean, you need to get out of the apathetic, depressed state, and you're not going to do it by reading a bunch of hate, whether you're reading one side or the other, whether you're reading the men's side, the women's side, because they'll all make logical points. You can use logic to prove anything. If you really go out there and try hard enough, you can find studies that'll prove X, and then you'll find a study that'll prove the opposite of that. And you'll find everybody making logical arguments, and you could decide which argument you want to buy into. And really based on what you want to create. And people do it all the time. So many of those studies are manipulated anyways. They've already proven through quantum physics that the observer always affects the study. There is no really, truly, in my opinion, unbiased study. We create our reality. What do you want to create? Do you want to create an awesome relationship with women and this beautiful dance between men and women? Or do you want to create pain? That's a choice. So go out and work on getting happy and fall in love with yourself, you know, even without women around. That's super important. A lot of guys can't do that. They don't know how to take themselves out on a date. They don't know how to go out to a fancy restaurant and treat themselves and have a good time. They don't know how to go out and take a walk and really treat themselves good, or go to a spa or whatever. Learn to take yourself out on dates and have a good time with nobody there. Then learn also to go out with other men and have a great time. Not men that hate women, men that love women, but still not need women around. Go do something that's very masculine in men and have fun together. And then also go out with women. These are all essential energies, because they all make you in the end better with women. Okay. And the women love it. They love seeing men bonding as men together. It's really important, and they actually get turned on by it. Just like when you watch a group of women dancing together, having fun together. So with that said, I'm gonna end the call unless there's something else. Okay. So last call from Romania as far as the live Q&A. I'll see you in Vegas next week. Going to be giving a talk at an event there, flying to Vegas next Wednesday and giving a talk at an event there that weekend, and heading back to LA. So I hope you have a beautiful day, and remember, only the confident really live. And I'm going to add one more, our old one. I haven't said it in a while. What would you do if you were not afraid?
Also, LA live event and Vegas live event.
Oh, I'm being reminded we have LA live event in July, Fearless Man Live, which is $97. Check it out on the event page. I believe there's a link, right? Did you put the link in?
No, it'll be in there, but I don't.
Okay, we'll be putting the link in there. The Fearless Man Live, the last one went off extremely well. It was amazing. And that's 2 days of me really demonstrating the stuff on stage, your chance to get your questions answered. We bring the models in, and we do a lot of work with the different models, and it's just a blast of a time, and it's a chance to really get yourself in the energy, in the orbit of men that are like this, men that think like this, and you get to see how women react to men like this, and you get to see that this battle doesn't have to be real for you if you don't want it to be, because you'll see that a much different energy, and you can develop some really strong friendships. There's also going to be another Fearless Man Live in Las Vegas in August. It's a little different because Zan Perion's going to be there. So I'm going to cut my time on stage in half, and he's going to take half the time, and we're going to share the stage. So if you want to see both of us, that's a great chance to go see both of us. They're both only $97 at this time. The price goes up as we get closer, and the one in July is in Los Angeles. That's just me speaking. So I definitely want to see you at one of these events. I'd love to I would love for you to be able to answer your questions. I can't even say this today. I'd love to be able to answer your questions live and in person. And because it changes everything a lot. When I'm answering these questions, I'm doing the best I can based on what you wrote. But when I see you in person, I get a whole different read based on your sub-communication, how you're talking, how you're being, the way you're saying things, based on questions I can ask you, and I can get a lot more specific. So if you're ready to get out and really step into the energy and make a big, bold move, take a step into one of these workshops. It's really not that big. It's only $97. So with that said, I'll see you at one of these events, hopefully. And again, what would you do if you were not afraid? Take care. Bye.